I think that it's important. It doesn't get brought up too much. It doesn't really get the exposure that it needs. And we should really be gravitating towards other groups who have received reparations, the justifications of them receiving reparation, and how that is applicable to our reparation struggle in order to receive what we are owed from the United States of America. So with that being said, the term reparation was first used in the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. Can you see that? Let me blow that up for you, family. Let me blow that up. Okay. The treaty required Germany to pay reparations for World War I. The treaty's war guilt clause identified Germany as the only party responsible for the war. Exact same as United States of America owes reparations to Foundation of Black Americas, and they are the only responsible party when it comes to us. It states here that Germany is the only responsible party, but for Black Americans in America, not only is the U.S. government, but as well as the UK as well. We have a lot of people on the chopping block that owe Foundation of Black Americans reparation, but the first of them is the United States of America. The treaty required Germany to pay 132 billion gold marks. So now at the time it was 33 billion in reparations. And it states here, after World War II, Germany and Japan paid reparations for war crimes. The German government paid approximately 86.8 billion in restitution and compensation to Holocaust victims and their heirs. What does that mean? And their descendants. West Germany paid reparations to Israel for confiscated Jewish property, forced labor, and persecution. Payments to Israel amounted to about $14 billion, equivalent to $36.5 billion in 2022. Reparations are now understood as compensation and other measures provided by victims of severe human rights violations. The United Nations has secured the right of victims to receive reparations. And there's a part of this that a lot of people are not going to understand, because a lot of this is coming from the United Nations. They have criteria. They have 5 components of what reparations look like. But it's important to understand that according to the United States 5 components of reparations, how all of these countries, Germany, Japan, as well as America, have paid reparations to the state of Israel, as well as Holocaust survivors and their descendants, okay? Meaning those descendants and their heirs are not the ones who went through the Holocaust, but they are paid reparations as well. And matter of fact, Jewish people as a whole are still receiving reparations from said countries, okay? That's just to point that out, as they should be receiving reparations for the atrocities that their people have been through. You can't just destroy people's livelihood, everything they work for, everything they built, or not even giving them the chance to be human in order to build something for themselves and for their family, and tell them to get it out the mud and tell them to pull themselves up. Because we have many examples of groups of people who have received reparations, not only from the American government, from governments from around the world, that has assisted them to living a better life. And again, I'm not against that, family. The point is, if we don't highlight other groups to show the world that this is anti-Black, the reason why Black Americans have yet to receive reparations, to inform and educate and teach them. We're not just begging and asking because we're lazy, because we don't want to get up and do nothing. It's because it's money that we're owed. See, you would be an anti-Semite if you would say, Jewish people don't need no darn reparations. They lazy. They should get up and do something. They already own the Hollywood industry. They own this industry. They got this industry. They got all the money anyway. Why do they need reparations for? Reparations has nothing to do with the money you already have. I've heard many of people stating where there's a lot of rich Black people that you guys got millionaires and billionaires. Won't they divide their money up and give it to you guys so you can have reparations? That's asinine. That's stupid. That's a fool. They work for that money. Hook or crook or hard work. I don't care. They work for that money and they deserve that money. And they also deserve the money for the countries who had a hand in chattel slavery, for a country who had a hand of putting our ancestors in bondage. And we're the descendants of those people, and we're telling you, you owe us money. And we see the examples of different people receiving reparations, not only from the U.S., but from other countries around the world. And that's very, very important. Now, when it comes to Black Americans, family, the thing that we have to point out that is very prominent is that we have systematically been denied opportunities and resources for centuries. Not for 10 years, not for 20 years, but for centuries, hundreds of years. We have been enslaved, lynched, denied our basics right. They didn't even label us or deem us as human beings. Look at the disparities that we have, whether it be economic or social. These are disadvantages that still to this day affect us. And they don't believe that affect us. Oh, that was such a long time ago. You guys should have been back on your feet. But no one is willing to dive into history. No one is willing to bring relevant atrocities to the forefront, to the table, to show that Black Americans many a times have pulled themselves up by their bootstrap and rebuilt cities and towns. Where are they now? They have been destroyed physically, socially, and politically. So when people, what do reparations look like then? Okay, oh yeah, we know slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights, Reconstruction. We know all of that. So what do reparations look like? Do we just give you a check and you guys will go away? And I always tell people that reparation should come in many forms. But the first form of reparations is cash payments, land grants, no taxes, government-funded education, and making Black Americans a protected class. Because believe it or not, family, these are the same reparations that Native Americans get. They don't pay taxes on the land on reservations. They get cash payments. They already got a land grant by the way of the reservations, right? Because when we say that, yeah, we already know how the land was divided up and how the Native Americans' land got taken from them. We know this, but there's a lot of Black Americans who had land that their land to this day are still fighting for some. They've been tricked, they've been killed, and land have been stolen from our people. So these are some of the things when we think about reparations that need to occur, that should occur. And for those who are sitting in the back of the room, cash payments, land grants, pay no taxes, government-funded education, as well as making Black Americans a protected class. Because one direct way to compensate Black Americans for economic losses is to receive cash payments, money in your bank account, something tangible that you can actually use. And that's what people are not understanding, because what about land grants? This is another way to provide reparations through land grants, because there have been a lot of land and resources that was stole from us, that they killed from us. And I'm talking about the system of white supremacy, family. The reason why is we can go and name names, we can go back in history and actually pinpoint certain figures, but there's been so many people hand involved in Black people being undermined, Black people land being stolen, Black people being killed. There's been so many people hands in the cooking jar, and there have been some prominent figures that have been involved that we can call out. But family, we got to call a spade a spade. This is a system of white supremacy at its best. You're not going to know everybody. There's always a middleman. There's always a straw man. See, a lot of times the people that you see, they're not the puppet master. They're the ones who are doing the bidding for the white supremacists with the power. And that is very important. So let's take a look at the 5 components or 5 forms of reparations for violation according to the United Nations. First, they have restitution. And it states that restitution measures the restore victims to their original situation before the violations occur. And because these violations has occurred quite a long time ago, there's a lot of interest that has been building that they need to pay out for in cash payments. Because a lot of this, if we look at compensation, we'll get into that as well. But let's take a deeper dive into restitution. It states here, restitution of library. That means all of the patents, restoration of liberty, enjoyment of human rights, which we've never had, essentially. Identity, knowing our history, a lot of stolen and lost history to be put back into textbooks for everybody to know our accomplishments and our contributions. Family life, citizenship, return of one's place of residence, all of the land, all of the houses that have been stolen from our people. Restoration of employment, return of property. That's a huge one, family. Restitution. Compensation, payment of a monetary sum to the victim or their relatives. Again, we are the descendants. We are relative compensation. Payment of a monetary sum to the victim or their relatives. Yes, we are the descendants of foundational Black Americans who they owe a great monetary sum to. You see what I'm saying? So they have this United Nations, and you may wonder why a lot of this hasn't been reinforced as crimes against humanity when it comes to the United Nations. But I'll let you know this at the end. It states that this can include economically accessible damage, loss of earnings, loss of property, loss of economic opportunity, and unmoral damages. Rehabilitation includes medical and psychological care, legal and social services, what we need. Unfortunately, there's a great many of us that are suffering from mental neglect of some sort. Satisfaction, a form of reparation that a state may provide to remedy an injury caused by international wrongful act for which it is responsible for. Guarantees of non-repetition can include public apologies, what we really don't need. Physical and social rehabilitation, definitely that coincides with the satisfaction form of reparation. Access to property, education, or health care, which a lot of our people will love to own houses, but again, because none of these things were addressed, we're still living in an impoverished state when we're talking about the masses of Black Americans. And also they have some other aspects of reparations that can include a national policy. They can stick it where it don't shine. Rights to the cannabis industry. What they're trying to state here, Google, that Black people want to own weed stores. I digress. Financial payments, of course. Social service benefits, yes. And land grants, which they already stated above. And they say, this is not legal advice. You may want to consult a lawyer about this question. No, we're not going to, because I asked Google, I said, United Nations identify 5 components of reparations. And it broke it down for me. What is important about the United Nations family, and I'm going to let the cat out the bag, the reason why the United Nations never have stepped in to assist us, support us, or help us, or save us in any form of the fashion. I'm going to point this out to you guys. Over here at the nationalarchives.gov or archives.gov, over here at the archives.gov, United Nations Charter 1945. It simply states that the United Nations originated with President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1941. You guys see that right here? When he described the countries fighting against the Axis power Germany, Italy, and Japan in World War II. The name was first used officially on January 1st of 1942 when 26 states joined in the declaration by the United Nations pledging to continue their joint war effort and not to make peace separately. The United Nations was established after World War II in an attempt to maintain international peace and security and to achieve cooperation among nations on economic, social, and humanitarian problems. What we need to understand here, family, the reason why the United Nations never stepped in to assist, help, fight, support Black Americans is because the United Nations was created, organized, formulated, directed by the United States of America. Why would the United States of America allow an organization internationally that they built to then deem them unhumanitarian? The treatment and the cruel punishment that they put on Black Americans. Why would they do that? Because, family, we need to understand the United Nations is just an extension of the American empire. It's an extension of capitalism is an extension of the influence that America has around the world. Family, I love America. And for a time, I was actually considering moving outside of America. This was a couple of years ago or so. I was actually considering it. But there's something that dawned on me. America is the best country in the world. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, whether it be Europe, Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, Iceland, Greenland. It doesn't matter. Everybody wants to come to America. The land of the free, the home of the brave, the land of the opportunity. This country was built by our forefathers and ancestors that has provided America with the largest bank, that provided America with one of the strongest infrastructures in the world. We're sitting at around 340, 350 million, and we still have capacity for 400 million. But family, things that are going on around the world, whether it be Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Hamas, illegal immigration, or even the incidents with mass shootings and mass killings. We cannot let this country off the hook of what they owe us by the extension of our forefathers. Because as I stated before, there have been great examples of other groups receiving reparations. So regardless of what anybody tells you or tries to influence you, whether you are pro-reparations or anti-reparations, just understand, regardless of your stance on it, we're owed reparations. Be one.